Welcome back to Big Red Rant after the bye week, which personally felt a lot longer than just 1 week. And Gary, I'm just not sure what the outcome is going to be for this one. I know that Michigan State is technically not the same animal that Michigan is. However, Michigan State runs a pretty efficient offense around a very talented dual threat quarterback. Again, the bane of our existence, that seems much more willing to take off and run, much more akin to Brendan Sorsby. And I just can't shake the feeling that even with a week to prepare, stopping a running slash scrambling quarterback is just not something that you can learn to do in such a short period of time. They've had all off seasons to get that figured out and can't. So I am worried about that. I really do hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that they have found whatever the recipe is to stopping the run when you have a smaller defensive line.
I'm going to worry about a running quarterback either for the rest of my life or until we go up against a couple running quarterbacks and shut them down. So I'm with you on that. Like, rather the bye week, I don't think is enough time to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, or do some crazy things. But running quarterback are not the biggest problem I thought against Michigan, and the runs they rolled off on us was mainly missed tackles and then gap assignment. Those things you can improve on. I don't know that you can say fix, but you can definitely improve on those things in a bye week. And I agree with what you're saying about the quarterback and all of that, but all the way around team wise, this just isn't going to be the same team Michigan was. I don't think their offensive line's anywhere close to Michigan's. Their defense is nowhere near Michigan's. So I think he'll be able to get away with a little bit more. I think that they're going to get gouged on some decent sized run plays. I don't know that they'll be 350+ yard run plays, but I think it's about as ideal of a spot as you can get. And I know Raiola came out and Rule also, they said that it sucked having the bye week. They just wanted to get back and get the taste out of their mouth. And I get that from a more of an emotional letdown of a game to wanting to hurry up and get back at it. You know what I mean? Like it almost you do something and as you're screwing up, you're like, shit, I want to do a redo. You know, what I mean, I get that idea, but without at least trying to address and fix a few things, the results are most likely going to be the same. Michigan has a lot of guys across the board, but especially on that defensive side of the ball that are going to be playing on Sundays. And as of right now, I don't know how many Nebraska has, but I don't think Michigan State has a ton. They have some studs. They've got a guy or two on defense that I think is going to cause problems, but I don't think the quarterback run game situation is going to be fixed, so to speak. I think it'll be addressed. I think you'll probably see, and I don't know this, but from listening to Butler's press conference, I kind of took away a little bit when he talks about stacking the box more. And the downside when that happens is now you're more susceptible to giving up a deep shot. I think that's a risk you at this point have to take, especially against this type of team. They don't have crazy weapons on the outsides. I'm not saying their guys are bad, but it's not. You don't have 2, 3 NFL wide receivers out there that you're going to have to try and stop and man. And the strength of your defense has been the pass defense. So dare them to pass and make a very, very obvious effort early on that we're going to do everything we can to keep you from running the ball, whether it's with your quarterback on design run plays or out of the scramble, and for sure the running back run game until you make us move away from that. I think that's kind of I think that's been a downfall. I don't want to say a Butler because you can't really count two of those games. There was no real threat. But with Cincinnati and Michigan, I didn't feel like they switched to that. And I feel like the last couple of years we haven't really gotten into that. But I think you're at a point now where your pass defense has looked good enough that you should have a little more faith in those guys that we're going to lean more on you as opposed to trying to lean on the defensive line, getting home, being gap sound, linebackers not over pursuing, safeties not breaking down when it's time to I think you just play to your strength and force them to make you shift out of it instead of vice versa. So I agree with you. I don't think things are going to be fixed. I don't know that there's going to be the threat that Michigan posed just because not even comparing the quarterbacks, just comparing the offensive line, the downfield blocking with receivers, what they're able to do, things like that, I think is going to be the difference maker. As bad as that game looked at times, you lost by a score again. If you'd have told us going into that Michigan game Oh, Michigan's gonna have 3 monster runs for touchdowns at some point in the game. I think they were gonna get blown out because you figure they're gonna methodically move the ball a few possessions here or there. The rest of the game's gonna go the way a game would normally go, and then you add that to it, it's gonna be a beatdown, and it wasn't. They still almost survived that. So I don't think Michigan State's gonna be the same threat Michigan was. Did you catch the press conference where Rule said something about I think he was talking to the offensive side of the ball, something new, or we're gonna see something new, or we're gonna see something different this week, and then Holgerson kinda touched on it. He goes, "Coach already said something. I'm not gonna get into it anymore." Did you catch that?
Yeah, he was talking about running backs, and some people are expecting
Well,
that we're going to see a running back that we haven't seen before, like either maybe Connor Booth or maybe more of Mosey. Football is finally back in full swing, and you guys know this season we're using Profit X as our go to for season long plays and player props. Profit X is America's #1 sports prediction market, where you can win real money predicting outcomes in 40 plus states. You end up getting better odds than traditional sports books because you're playing against real people, not the house. ProfitX, you can request your own odds, play with confidence, and get super quick payouts straight to your bank, card, or even crypto. If you sign up now at profitx.co or download the app, use promo RANT and you'll get up to $200 in ProfitX cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Download the app now and start winning real money predicting sports. Terms and conditions apply.
yeah, I agree, but I don't know that he was specifically talking about running backs. They were talking about running backs when he said it, but he kinda shifted it when he was talking about run game. So, like,
Could be a new lineman, maybe then.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing Pritchett just deal with his flaws and gaffes as long as you can. If he's going to give you a penalty every other drive, but he's going to shore up the left side of that line, kind of take your medicine. You know what I mean? But I was thinking, like, when they first said that, my mind instantly went, so they're going to finally start utilizing Harburg as the H back a little more and getting him involved in the run game. Did you install packages in this bye week where you're going to have Latif out there at different times, knowing he can throw and show throw a couple times, but really utilize his legs? Is Carter Nelson going to be more of a focal point because they do like using him in that H back spot, especially when you tie the run game into the woes in the goal line in the fourth and third and shorts. We've seen before they like using him in those types of situations. Like, is it going to necessarily be a specific guy, or is there going to be some? Are we going to see some option? Are we going to see two backs? And you're going to see against Michigan when they were going wide sevens, wide nines. It would have been amazing to be able to run the option because instead of dropping back and watching those guys on the edges blow by the tackles, and then Raiola's got to start scrambling or hurry up and get rid of the ball. If you can run right at them, and he thinks he's coming scot free, and he has to choose between running quarterback or the running back, or God forbid you go old school and run some triple option. I'm not saying any of those things are for sure the thing, but it just made my mind start going a bunch of different directions on that side of like, is it necessarily a running back? I don't think there's a running back on the roster we don't know about or haven't seen a little bit of. So I don't know what the big surprise or the big change or whatever would be.
I've seen a theory of it being maybe Jamarian Parker. I've even thought maybe it's Jamarian Parker because, I mean, he is the only 4-star running back that we've got on the roster, and it seems like they've been dead set on redshirting him. I mean, you never hear a peep about him, not one sentence. I haven't heard his name basically all season, and so that
He's
could.
hurt, isn't he?
I thought he was just being redshirted. Maybe he's hurt. Either way, man, I just don't think that it needs to be a skill player. I don't think it needs to be an H back. I don't think it needs to be a tight end that gets swapped in. I think it's all the line. It's blocking. I don't like hearing people say that Emmett Johnson needs to give us more. Emmett Johnson didn't do a great enough job. Our running game. It's like he was running great until our line couldn't provide anything bigger than a gap for that 14-yard run that started the game. I just don't think it's his fault. I think it's all the line. And I don't know that a new fullback is going to fix that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really blames Emmett for the running game situation. I mean, people can't sit there and say we got to ease the workload for Emmett Johnson. He's getting too many carries. He's going to get beat up and then go. He's not getting it done. Well, if he's not getting it done, why is he getting so many carries? Not just the bulk of the carries out of that room, but so many. Like I think he is a stud. You know, I mean, he's a really good running back. He runs hard, controls the ball. He's got that one fumble in the season, but I mean, he's not a liability. He's good in the pass pro. He's good as a receiver. He's not an explosive runner. He's not the type of runner that's going to hit a hole and just pull away from people. And I know that that's what Rules talked before. He wants this many yard plays to turn into this many yards and these plays to be this long of plays and stuff. And like I said before, at the time, this was last year, you don't have that back on your roster, you know, and that's fine. You don't, that doesn't mean you suck. It's just a different style of back. And that's what Emmett is. So if you have that somewhere on your roster, you should probably start utilizing that, especially if you're complaining about one guy getting too many carries. If they're not up to speed or up to where you want them to be to give them a significant amount of carries, then I don't know what we're talking about for. You know what I mean? Like you, all you can go off of is what you have to go off. You know, all you can use in games is all you have accessible to you. So I don't. I agree with you. The line needs to do a little better, but also they throw the ball a lot. You know what I mean? Royal has had, what do you have, like 40 pass attempts the last game. He's been around there a couple of games by design. And like Holgerson said, he's going to go with what's working. And despite all the shit we heard for the last couple weeks or whatever about Raio's a bust and he's not this, he's not that, his stats speak for themselves. You can say, well, you only played these guys. Half the teams in the country have only played one or two conference games or tough opponents. So you got to compare apples to apples. The dude's your best player by far. There's no question. People who think he's trash and they need to go to Latif, let Latif and Raiola both go into the portal tomorrow and let me know who other teams around the country thinks better. Like it's a stupid conversation in my opinion to have, but whatever, it is what it is. So you're going with your best player, you're going with what's working because the pass game's working better than the run game because the guy who orchestrates the passing game is your best player, not anybody else on the team or your running back. And that's not a slight to Emmett, but the running scheme, I think, needs to be a little bit better. I think you could dedicate to the running game a little bit more. But yeah, you've got to get him some help. You've got to come up with something. And I think it's going more that way. Like you said, you could be 100% right. It could be a guy that's going to get a significant amount of carries. I'm expecting it to be a little bit more of like a scheme thing. I don't think our offense is going to be an issue. I don't think we're going to have trouble, especially compared to the Michigan game, because they don't have the pass. They don't have a pass rusher like Michigan had on both edges. You know what I'm saying? Let alone the big guys up middle, and they do have some guys in the middle and things like that. But it's just across the board defensively is not going to be the same look that Nebraska was given when they played Michigan. So I don't think that's the issue. I'm with you more in the running game, both quarterback and running back. But they've had 2 weeks to really put a lot of emphasis on that. And for me personally, I really hope to see them push Michigan State's hand of we're going to load up to stop the run. You're going to have to beat us when we go man or when we go cover one, things like that. So I know everybody's kind of harder on the offensive line and rightfully so for some reasons, but do you see that being a bigger issue than the defense hopefully learning to tackle, be gap sound, and be able to stop the run better?
I just agree with you that our offense isn't going to be the problem. I think we're
Yeah.
going to give up damn near as many points as we put up just because they are. It's not that we're that bad at stopping the run, it's just they happen to be a really good running team too. And the number one problem we have is quarterbacks that can run, and this quarterback can really run. So I am going to go with the Husker win here. I see it like honestly 42 to 38. I think it's going to be close within that 5 points that the Huskers were favored. I don't know if they still are, but this to me will be a really big win for the Huskers, just not in point value. I don't think we're going to beat them big. I think it's going to be really close and high scoring ish.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that high scoring. I think it'll be on the higher side. I don't think it'll be that high. I think Nebraska wins by 10-ish. The running thing, them talking about you'll see something new or whatever with the running game gives me a little pause on how many points we'll score because if the whole idea is we're going to do a thing where we can lean into the run more and utilize more guys and not pass so much, and they end up eating a ton of clock and getting a touchdown here or there, selling for a few few field goals, and half of the battle is we're going to keep that quarterback off the field as much as possible so we don't have to worry about him running. And we're going to try and make it to where if we can grind them out a possession or two with a field goal or no points, and we can score after eating a ton of clock and force them to throw, I think that drastically changes, how you would predict the outcome of a game. There's part of me that thinks that's what the game plan would be, but I don't know. I think either way, it's going to be a not like a 20 point, or walking away type thing or a backdoor. I think it'll be
A
relatively
comfortable win.
close. Yeah, and then just kind of get out of there with, 7, 10, 13, whatever point, maybe probably not 13, but a decent little win, nothing too crazy to sweat about, and then on to the next.
Tell us what you guys think in the comments. Do you have your own score predictions for this game? We'll see you soon for the live stream on Saturday in the afternoon. Until then, go Big Red.